wanted to explore a little bit with you and just invite you into really the realization of of the absolute impossibility of holding anything in place, the impossibility of permanence. It would seem, and certainly my own life and my conversations with people, that there's this, not infrequently, this subtle, not so subtle belief or hope somehow that I can realize something, I can experience something, I can recognize something, and then somehow that won't go away, that won't slip away, that I'll be able to sustain that somehow. And this is the fantasy of being able to sustain anything. So let's just look at the only thing we can look at, which is what's here, what's being, let's say, experienced, and just notice how it's impossible. Permanence is impossible. That it's nothing remains. Everything is in this process, we could say, of constant undulating and shifting and moving, and this incredible dynamism of everything. And I just feel how there is no permanence. And whatever we might call something that's described, as some sort of state. We feel a certain way, we're seeing something a certain way, it's just taken away. It's the nature of this. It's just the nature of it to not remain. And there's actually an incredible relief in seeing this, because our efforts to sort of hold on, grasp hold of, hold in place experience can just be seen to be impossible. And then there can be just this sense of relaxation, recognizing that there's no permanence. We'll never get this to stay the same way, I think is the simplest way to put it. It will not stay the same way. It's not its nature. Any more than the fire burning in our campfire or our fireplace is somehow going to stay the same way. It's not. That's not its nature, is it? It's just constantly transforming itself. Feel that, and just notice that you are feeling this. You are this constant transformation of reality, this constant movement, this constant slipping away of what appears. The fact that nothing holds still. So how could anything be held in place, some state that we associate with whatever it is we're searching for? It won't be that. It will not remain. And there's so much freedom in seeing that nothing can be held on to. It frees us from the effort to try to hold on to it when we see that it can't be held on to, that there's no permanence. We search for some kind of permanence, it would seem. And we will often imagine when we're feeling particularly like good, open, clear sense of freedom, a sense of ease, well-being, like we start thinking, yeah, I've got hold of it somehow. I know what this stuff is about. I've got it, and then it slips away. Of course, it slips away. Is the nature of everything to slip away. And this ties in very directly with the discovery that freedom, liberation, is has nothing to do with experience. I mean, it has everything to do with experience in the sense that all experience is the movement of life, the movement of this great freedom. But if we associate it with particular kinds of experiences, we will experience the sense of frustration, one level or another, because we tie it to something, then we condition freedom, openness, ease, well-being, whatever we're searching for. We condition it, imagining it looks a certain way, and then the frustration of it like not remaining that way because it's not the nature of this to remain anyway. But just for now, see that it doesn't matter what you're experiencing. All of your experience is ever changing, the flow of this, the flow of this. All of your experience. And from that perspective, it doesn't matter what your experience is. You don't have to have a certain kind of experience in order for freedom to be here. Freedom is all experience. All there is this experience, and it's constantly changing, but it's always experiencing. There's no escaping this flow of experiencing. Go anywhere, up, down, inside, outside, around and back, anywhere you travel, the consciousness travels, it just finds experiencing. This experiencing that is a flow and hence has no permanence to it because of its flowing, ever morphing nature, and is never absent. This is it. This is reality flowing as each instant that seems to be what it seems to be in the instant of its appearing, and yet is in the process, in the very instant of its appearing, of becoming something else. In the very instant of its appearing, it's becoming something else. That's how impossible it is to hold it in place. So just relax any effort to try to hold anything in place, because you can't. It's just that simple. But this is what we do, right? We try to get ourselves often in some sort of state that we think is the whatever, the state that we'd like to be in, or the state we imagine we should be in. It's like it's all a fool's errand. There actually really aren't even states, because the dynamism is so quick. Nothing remains long enough to really be encapsulated and described and thought of and conceived of as a state. No, it's just openness, opening, everything just opening, endlessly opening, into opening, into opening, never really becoming something fixed, no permanence whatsoever. This is a great relief. Nothing fixed, nothing that can be fixed in the sense of pinned down as being something that we can remain in, some place we can remain in. There's no remaining anywhere, but there's no need to remain anywhere, because everywhere is this shine of reality, the flow of freedom itself. Everything experience, the flow of experiencing. Feel that. No matter the shape the experiencing may seem to be taking, it's really a shaping, because it never takes a fixed shape. But that sense of it seeming to become something, and then morphing into the next thing and into the next thing, this endless kind of stream of transformation. All of it is the flow of what? The flow of life itself, of reality, the flow of experiencing. It's all just synonyms for the flow of something that can't be said what this is, the flow. What is this the flow of? The flow of life. What is life? This actuality being experienced right now, what's actually here, rather than our fantasies of what's here, our ideas of what's here, what's actually here, palpably here, feel it, and feel the infinite complexity of it, in the sense of all these little flickers and sparkles and movements and feelings and sensations and all the, I'm throwing words at all these different, it's like this, it's like a symphony with a million billion instruments playing all at once. I mean, it's impossible to tell some story about that, isn't it? There's so much seemingly in each instant. Feel that, feel there's so much is being experienced. You don't have to go look for it. Just be open. You are open. Just complete openness, feeling the flow of this and all its incredible seeming diversity. And all of it, though, is just this experiencing and all the ways, shapes, and forms it can seem to assume, but all of it experience. This ground of being. Always being. There is a kind of sense of, paradoxically, of the permanence of this. I've been talking about its impermanence, but it's like rock solid being. The beingness of the moment, the existence of this moment is unshakable, isn't it? And yet, strangely, it has no permanence to it at the same time. Always here, but slipping away, slipping away, slipping away, but always here. But the effort to try to hold it in place is just, it's not, there's no need or to hold it in place, and no possibility of holding it in place. It's self-held. It's always here. It doesn't need to be held in place. It's always here, even though it's always shifting and we're always feeling this presence of experiencing. Nothing else to feel. Oh, we may say, oh, somehow I've lost touch with this. And that's just more experiencing, isn't it? Another way the flow of experiencing can look. It looks like everything. It is everything. So again, it doesn't matter what you're experiencing. There's freedom in every experience. Every experience is pure freedom. Everything is free of identity, free of fixation, free of lack, free of limitation. Everything completely unbounded. There's no boundedness to anything. Because the boundedness is the defining, the seeming way that things seem to be fixed and formed and structured. But this is completely unstructured and unformed and unbounded, isn't it? Ultimately, owing to its dynamism, right? Nothing's ever stuck, frozen, fixed, caught, identified. Just free. It's just absolute freedom flowing within and as everything. No need to struggle to find this. It's finding us in each instant as the moment. It's simply here, already here. We don't have to go look for it. The presence is here, isn't it? The presence of what is. Impossible to say what it is. It's too vast. Too infinite to be captured by any idea. Just this vast, edgeless expanse, isn't it? You see no edges anywhere. It's amazing, huh? There's no edge to anything. It's just pure openness. No boundary, no border. And you might feel somehow some sense of being something localized within this borderless, boundaryless field of experiencing, but feel what you might think of as the bounded you, the body encased you, the mind encased you, and notice how the body and the mind have no edge and no border, and they are also this limitless, fathomless, edgeless expanse. Actually, experientially, they are the expanse. There's no place where the body comes to an end. What we call the body has no edge to it. The skin line has no edge to it. So we can just relax the search for permanence, for something to stay. Nothing stays. And yet, this is always here, pouring forth its bounty, even as it's very paradoxical, constantly here, and yet completely ungraspable.